Alright, so we're back with more Destiny coverage right here. It's been a very interesting week from the relative highs of the Renegades reveal. Keep in mind my word in there, relative high, to the, well, absolute low of the Ashen Iron launch. That isn't for just one reason. There are a handful of reasons for that. Trust me, I do not sit here just waiting for something negative to happen so that I can talk about it. Like many of you guys, I just want to play Destiny and it be fun, and Bungie to respect players' time and fix things when they don't work. They've done a bit of that this week, to be fair. There was a problem where the Orchestral Performance Seasonal Challenge couldn't be completed in Portal activities, so they've auto-completed it for all players. Separately, they're investigating an issue where players with a full consumables inventory will not receive chronologs when purchasing archived passes, and they actually get entirely lost at the moment, so beware of that. Another issue where armor pieces are displaying incorrect stats instead of their power level, which is a purely visual bug, and that is planned to be resolved in the update that we get next Tuesday. Other issues where some armor pieces, emotes, finishers, and more have higher than intended bright dust and silver costs in the Eververse store. Plus, oh yeah, Bungie confirmed the values for grenade and melee regen stats have been unintentionally altered in the most recent update, so that's another one. Probably the biggest thing that Bungie should be fixing though, very soon, is that there's an issue with power leveling and progression in the portal. So basically, my experience over 400 power right now is that I can get a single +2 drop in terms of power level if I run at a -50 something power delta. Now, that's a ridiculous amount of work. And if you look at the screenshots here, as power level has increased, or as my personal power level has increased, the amount of power that we're actually able to earn at different thresholds slowly is decreasing over time. Bungie had said they were going to start to fix this with Ashen Iron, yet we've been hit with another bug related to power progression, which is just mind-blowing, right? So with the TWID today, we'll see, won't we, in just a moment, if Bungie are going to fix it soon. Hopefully, before the next patch. Oh yeah, all of this coming at a time where Bungie introduce a Festival of the Lost Weasel error code mask. The result of all of this is that Drifter literally looks about half as depressed as most of us are at the moment. Not to speak for anyone else, but safe to say that's the case for me. So let's see what Bungie are going to do about it. So, getting into the TWAB right here, the TWID, whatever it's called. Firstly, Bungie talk about a live update that they plan, which is essentially an emergency update for the game, the fastest form of changes that they can possibly deploy. So, let's break down what they are and whether they're actually going to be good. So, the first say when Ashen Iron went live earlier this week, many of you quickly hit the new expanded power band of 450 plus and started reporting that it fell off, way off. I would add to this that with the power leveling bug in the game right now, which I don't think they actually comment on here, it feels seriously off, no matter what power level you are. That's the first thing that we should acknowledge. But Bungie say, in relation to their above comment, we fully agree, and we're planning a series of fixes to make earning power from 450 plus more in line with expectations, as well as to improve how earning power and rewards feels for all players. They're prioritizing these fixes as soon as they can safely get them into the game, and are electing to make as many of them as possible through live updates that we can do in the short term. Some things can't be changed with a live update, and we'll follow up with larger upcoming patches. And they say the hope is to get this live update into the game this week, but they can't absolutely guarantee it because of potential issues. Of course, it's not likely that we would experience any issues in Destiny 2, is it? That was sarcasm for those who will totally miss it. But the live update changes include, first off, that climbing from 450 to 500 needs to be better. In fact, they want to make the power climb generally better. So we're not solely focused on the 450 to 500 band, but we also want to target how players move up from 300 all the way up to 500. This upcoming update is the first step, hopefully to smooth out the journey from 400 to 500 and to help put players within striking distance of earning tier 5s. After this, the priority will shift to bands below 400 to help players feel consistent progress towards endgame power bands. So the live update reward adjustment is basically that at Platinum, between 450 and 500 power, A+ grades now grant +2 power, A grades will now grant +2 power, and then B+ will grant 1 power, and B grades now grant 1 power. But at grade C, it will reward gear at our current level. Then at Gold, between 400 and 450 power, B grades will now grant +1 power, and C grades will now grant gear at your power level. With the bug in the game at the moment, again, I don't think they recognize this, but essentially all grades are granting just +1 power between 400 and 450. So I hope they do something with that as soon as possible. I'm not sure what an A grade will get you at between 400 and 450, because I'm pretty sure before Ash and Iron dropped, at power levels below 400, we'd always get more than +1 power, but maybe I'm forgetting things. But they say at Silver, between 300 and 400 power, C+ will now grant +1 power. Dude, all these grades and stuff are just so confusing. It's so much to kind of get your head around. But they say on top of these changes, they also need to fix scores required to earn the associated grade, so the below changes will relieve the pressure on getting higher scores by requiring fewer modifiers and therefore lower the power delta needed. So do keep in mind this works in tandem with the other changes that Bungie will be making in this live update, so they're reducing the number of modifiers needed to reach score forecasts, and how much this actually helps with score forecasts will depend on where you are in the power climb. They'll also be granting everyone the featured gear score bonus by default, so it basically will no longer be required when this drops to use featured gear, as far as I understand it, although definitely pay attention to your reward forecast before trusting that entirely. They say we'll post on the D2 team accounts when it's live, and we're targeting to ship this by the end of this week. So in itself, that is good. It's nice if you're at 450 plus already. Obviously, if you're below 400 power still, things will presumably continue as they have been. I'm not sure if Bungie are going to address the current power leveling bug separate to the changes that they've just mentioned there. I hope they do, because at the minute, for players like me, I'm at like 425 power. I can only get +1 power, basically regardless of what I do, unless I play at that ridiculous nearly -60 power delta, which is just, honestly, if you're playing for power, the game is literally not worth playing in that state. You can probably tell how frustrated I am at the minute, but these live update changes sound good. I do think though, as some other folks have pointed out, often when other game devs really mess up with a live update, there tends to be a bit more recognition of that issue. And I think in terms of getting players back into the game right now, especially when there's other stuff on the table like Borderlands, I'm not saying this would bring everybody back, but I think Bungie should just say, hey, we're going to double the power progression next week and give everything the Solstice treatment, where you've got chances at +1 of your current gear tier, something like that. But alas, that is not the plan. Separate to the live update, there is a patch next Tuesday, September 16th, so they're making changes to Prime Engrams. At all power bands, players will have a chance for a Prime Engram to drop per portal activity completion reward. So again, if there are numerous rewards for a specific activity, every single one of them will have a chance to be a prime, and from 450 to 500, power is increased up to +3 power, where it was previously +2. There's also a chart that you can see here on how they're buffing the reward count for various activities in the portal. Most of them go from 1 drop to 2, some of them go from 3 to 4. It's basically +1 for any of the ones that you currently see listed. And additionally, they're increasing the bonus timers for Avalon and Presage exotic missions. Avalon going up to 35 minutes and Presage increasing to 20 minutes. They say they have also been hearing feedback that reclaim rewards feel undertuned, and they're looking into this along with reports of other timers that need to be adjusted. And as the planned live update goes into effect and additional improvements go live next week, they will continue to monitor feedback and make adjustments. And so there we have it. I can't criticize Bungie for doing something right. I'm really frustrated by the current power bug and the lack of commentary about it in the TWID, because it just isn't clear when it will actually be fixed. Perhaps the assumption is that whenever this live update actually drops, that's the point in time where it will be fixed. So hopefully in the next couple of days we're going to get that, guys. But for the moment, that's all I can really tell you. I was totally getting ready to just say boycott the game if you're not enjoying it right now. And obviously that still applies, but it was especially going to be the case if the TWID was incredibly tone deaf, which I can't really call this incredibly tone deaf because there is recognition of the issues and an apparent live update, emergency update essentially, which is coming in the next couple of days. So when we get that update, maybe that will be a better time to actually dive back in if it's power that you're really interested in. And I think because power level is such a huge component of the game and the rewards you earn now, when that is not working properly, the entire game becomes ludicrously unrewarding. So yeah, I'm not going to criticize Bungie anymore until we get this live update. But good lord, the next couple of updates absolutely have to work and they have to move the needle. Otherwise, I think we're in really serious trouble. Other bits in the TWID though, Trials is coming back this weekend. They do say it will feature a new weapon, the ever-burning Glitz, a totally new kinetic rapid-fire auto rifle, along with a reprised Burden of Guilt. And they're the two weapons that have entered the Trials pool, along with Ash and Iron. So a new auto rifle, basically, is the featured weapon for this week. And otherwise, Iron Banner is also back next week. They say it will now be a 1-week event with its own event home. That means it has a reward shop, an exclusive reward pass with an emblem, shader, weapons and more, as well as renewed title to unlock. So it's Iron Banner, but with the new event system, essentially. They're reprising an old Iron Banner armor set, as we can see, but it does get set bonuses. So the 2-piece bonus is Vigilant Watch, and as your health gets lower, your weapons gain increased stability and handling, and weapon final blows while your shields are depleted will heal you. Then there's Iron Conviction, and when your shields become broken, you gain increased ammo generation, flinch resistance, and damage resistance against nearby combatants for a short time, and final blows will extend that effect. There's a lot of damage reduction built into these kind of set bonuses across the board with various different sets, but to be fair, that does sound relatively good. They also say there'll be a chance to earn a returning weapon, the Finite Impactor, an adaptive solar hand cannon with some interesting perk combos. Along with it, they'll also add the Fenutria Ferra, the Spreadshot hand cannon, and Ribbontail Trace Rifle as post-match rewards for Iron Banner, as well as chances at the Submersion Crossbow. That's the new one, which is a rare weapon that can drop during events in Ash and Iron. So that's really the bulk of the important stuff from the TWID. They say while we close this TWID, the dev team is working hard on making improvements and changes to the game, first through live updates and then through the patch on Tuesday. The work doesn't stop there, and we will review feedback and reactions closely to keep moving in the right direction. We're very aware that no matter what we say here, it's what you experience when you play that matters, but know that we really value your passion for Destiny 2 and that we want it to feel rewarding every single time. I appreciate a little bit of candor from the devs there. I think it's a good thing. Overall, number one thing I would say in that regard is that when players are not having fun, that don't feel like the game is rewarding, Bungie need to have levers that they can pull to ensure that the game is rewarding. Right now is one of those moments, and they are going to do some of that with the live updates, but a Destiny game that, nearly nobody wants to play is never going to be a good thing for anybody. So when they say we want it to feel rewarding every single time, that should be like the absolute priority, especially when you have the kind of disastrous situation that we've ultimately had with Ash and Iron. The only way that Bungie can win is to flip the switch that says, let's make this game rewarding. It doesn't fix the portal, it doesn't fix the various limitations with these new systems and all of their flaws, but much like Solstice proved, right, we were playing the same flawed game, but it felt so much more enjoyable because it was actually dropping loot that people cared about. And that has to be the number one priority. So there we go, that's Bungie's response. Give me your thoughts about it down below. I'll keep you posted when we get this live update. And of course, we'll be testing it and seeing how it feels. I would have personally gone a step further and said, like I said, we're going to double rewards. We're going to make the next week of the game as rewarding as possible. An essential apology. We didn't quite get that, but if these changes actually land and work, then they are a step in the right direction. For the moment, guys, that's me. I'm done. I'm out of here. I appreciate you tuning in though. Thanks for the continued support, despite the very rocky road we've been on. I'm super exhausted by it, you can probably tell. So I'm gonna go get some rest and I'll keep you posted when these changes go live. Take it easy.